Hello, I'm LuNEJuNE, and in today's video, I'll be showing one of my games I had with my friend PSW, and as you probably have guessed from the title and the thumbnail of today's video, yes, it is on Holy Sword. I was originally going to make this a live commentary, like actually talking while playing the game, but I decided to just record the footage and to have a small chat with my friend while doing it. So this video will be slightly different. I'm going to be talking as if I'm actually playing the game currently, and I'll try to minimize the whole no talking and only game clip part of the video by talking about some strategies and my personal opinion on Holy Sword's buff. In fact, this is a review video for the new Holy Sword because I high-key forgot about Holy Sword, and guess what I also forgot? I also forgot Nuke! How could I ever do that? Anyway, let me start talking about the game and some other stuff. So right off the bat, we tried to get a setup something like 4 Lunars, 1 Switch, 2 Guardian, 1 Snowball, and the rest Holy Swords. This setup is the most ideal since Holy Sword will be more beneficial with more swords. I'll talk about the whole setup later, but as you can see from the footage, we aren't doing so great in terms of getting the most ideal setup. We had moments where we were completely off from the setup, or we were just one die away from succeeding it. Let me know in the comments down below if this ever happened to you. It really is frustrating. And the fact that PSW couldn't even get a single boss meta was also infuriating. At the very end, we did decide to get hit by the boss, but we somehow got a 4-pip lunar. But let me spoil the final scene, we didn't kill the boss. I forgot that Holy Sword is very weak in the beginning of the match, and Guardian with pretty much no stacks is not contributing to the damage dealt to the boss either. We were trying our best to get the perfect setup and we had some rage moments together. But at the end, after we got a beautiful 6-pip lunar next to a 7-pip Guardian, we eventually got the perfect setup. And now the next task is pretty simple. All we need to do is to get an all 7-pip setup and get all the Holy Swords to Divine Swords and make sure Guardian stays at the very top of the stack ranking, 14, and to preserve its power. That was rather pretty easily accomplished. I do think it is because of Prison Board, but I wasn't really sure. Maybe the early on setup RNG took away most of our bad RNG, not quite sure there either. Maybe I'm just stuck with the rate of gold mine, that I just forgot how easy it is to get 1 of 5 pips with Prism. Anyway, let me continue talking about the setup part now that the whole RNG setup phase of the game is over. So I don't have class 12 sword, I definitely do not have class 13. That means I have class 11, which isn't the worst, but it can definitely be better. This means the percentage damage output will be ridiculously lower than class 12. To give some reference and to brighten your thought process, I heard Earthquake supports can just send Earthquake at any given moment because the boss will die anyway, but that's only class 12 Holy Sword and upper exclusive. With my class 11 Holy Sword, you actually have to time the Earthquake perfectly so that it doesn't survive with like 0.001% of HP. Of course that number is what I just made up in my mind, but it feels like it. But apparently all those nightmares are gone after you get class 12 Holy Sword. Now that I've talked about Holy Sword and its class difference, since I only have class 11 sword, I must have the most swords possible. Maybe class 12 and higher can get away with just a few, but my class 11 can't. So I wanted to get as much as possible, which is 8. For Guardian, I decided to go with 2 because I feel like it's not enough finisher damage for later on waves, and also 1 to 2 has a bigger difference than 2 to 3. For 3 Guardians, I decided to reject having more than 2 because then my Holy Sword's max possible count will be lower. So I'd say 2 is the most optimal, and if you are using scope board, which a lot of Recharge Holy Sword Lunar DPS uses, 2 is the best because wouldn't you know it, there's exactly 2 spots on the board to buff your secondary DPS. And just as I'm finishing up, we got the setup done. Hooray! This is the time for AF. Wait, did you just assume this was over? Yeah, why? Dude, you can't just go AFK with this board. What if Gravitor sends a random assassin and hits your Guardian? What if that assassin doubles because of Prism and it hits another Guardian? You have to get rid of the support side in order for proper and safe AFK. Oh, that's right. Yeah, thanks to that guy, I was able to tell my ever so trying to AFK friend to come back to the game and to get rid of all the possible assassins. This means not only the existing assassins, but all the future possible assassin babies. We gotta get rid of them all so that Mr. Grav will not just yeet an assassin towards the setup. Oh, and hey, look, it's a magician, and it's going to hit the 7. Never mind. And now you currently see a 7 pip and a 6 pip. Ha 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 ha. You might think this is okay to leave as it is, but think about it. What if Leon lowers the 7 pip down to a 6 pip? What if Knight came along and made both of them assassins? And what if Gravitor came along just at the end and threw an assassin at the setup like it's a rock? Wouldn't that be amazing? Like that's ever going to happen? I am sorry to spoil to you, but this actually happened once in my game and it was rage inducing. After that, the setup is actually done now that the game is AFKable. You probably will be confused why on earth I decided to play Guardian instead of Solar, Guardian instead of Recharge. The short answer is PSW wanted me to use Guardian. The long and the reason behind that is he's a devil. You see, he supports 90% of the games we play, minus the few games we play as Double Atomic or he just jokes around with his Class 9 Lunar. And when he supports, he always gets jealous of the DPS because the DPS gets to AFK most of the run. So what he tells me to do is to not play Solar but instead play Guardian. Don't play Solar but instead play Recharge or even Overheat. He doesn't care if it's good or not. He just wants me to also work for the reward, which in this case, work can be defined as switch dodging. Yeah, there's a small lore of PSW. Also the other day, JH716718 had experimented with the Guardian trait, and he told me that there is a huge difference in co-op waves when you have 14 stacks and 15 stacks. This obviously makes sense since you are essentially doing 50% more damage from your previous state every time you get a stack. So a 14 stack Guardian's formula would be something like this. However, if you see this formula and read it, you can see that it always adds roughly around half of its previous stack damage. This means if a 14 stack were to deal 500 damage, a 15 stack would be dealing 750. So JH recorded the critical damage numbers and he found out that it was 2.4 million versus 3.7 million, the 15 stack being on the right. So the math do indeed check out. If you weren't sure why there was a huge gap in between a 6 pip 12 stack Guardian and a 7 pip 14 stack Guardian, this is the reason. It's not a linear inclination graph, it's a curved one that stretches even more towards the end. So it's comparable to Lunar, but we all know Lunar is the best for the graph. That's the math class for today. So why am I saying all of this? I'm thinking of making a funny short video of me doing something funny in co-op. Stay tuned for that because it was fun making it happen. Special thanks to JH for the calculation and the pre-testing of this theory. What he concluded was Trait Guardian was much better than normal Support Guardian because of the 14 stack and the 15 stack difference. So for the final part of today's video, I'll be discussing briefly about Holy Sword itself. Yes, it was a massive buff to the Sword Boy, but they apparently also buffed Slime and it's now tanky AF. Slime was always Sword's counter, but it counters even harder, which isn't that great. So I'd say Sword is definitely in a better shape right now. I really like how they made Define also useful in co-op, and that's pretty much about it. I don't have negative feelings towards this change, but Slime, I don't like it. Alright, that's about it for my talking. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you all in my next video, which is going to be on the funny Guardian thing, so please stay tuned for that. Have a great day.